We're, we're recording now. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I'd like to call the Town Services and Outreach Committee meeting of the Town Council to order from December 11, 2025. It's 2 minutes after 10 in the morning. The meeting is posted for 10 a.m. And this meeting is being conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting can do so via Zoom or by telephone. This is a Zoom meeting. It's not in person, so there's no in-person attendance of members of the public or the committee. Um, and have made every effort to ensure the public has access to the meeting in real time by technological means. And want to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded, both for audio and visual purposes. And with that, what I'd like to do is make sure that all members of the committee can hear and we can hear them, and then we will be able to proceed. So, Bob Hegner, morning.
Present. Morning.
Uh, Councilor Ryan,
Morning, Andy. I'm here.
Councilor Lord,
Good morning, present.
and Jennifer Taub.
Yes, I'm here and can hear you.
Okay. At this point, I think that we have one member of the public present. If that member of the public would like to offer any public comment, they should raise their hand. And I might come back and check on this later and see if there's anybody else who has joined would like to offer public comment. But seeing that no hands have been raised, I think we can just go ahead at this point and proceed with the meeting, come back to public comment one last time later in the meeting if we need to do so. The town manager hasn't joined us yet, so we're going to postpone dealing with the review of town manager appointments. There are no minutes to approve. I put down, I'm just going in the order of the agenda. Athena, yes, please.
Paul said he would be here in about 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So when Paul joins us, we will try and get back to the town manager appointments. The fifth item that I put on the agenda was Transportation and Parking Commission follow-up to the December 8, 2025 council meeting. I didn't have anything specific in mind myself for that, but I put it on the agenda in case any of you wish to say anything or have anything that you'd like to follow up on about the Transportation and Parking Commission. So if anybody have a reason that they'd like to talk about that, or we can go. Councilor Ryan.
I think we should take a minute and give ourselves a long and sustained round of applause, and particularly to our chair. It was a long slog. Everybody contributed. Everyone worked hard, and we actually made it, which at one point I was beginning to have my doubts that we'd make it through. But anyway, I appreciate all the efforts and work that you all put into it, especially Andy. And I think we should be proud of what we accomplished. It was, well, hopefully we'll see how it turns out. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes, I concur. And, Andy, your leadership on this was excellent and reaching out to Northampton. So, and I hope you apply for one of the positions in your in your post-council life.
In my post-council life, I'm only eligible for one of the three public positions, and if I decide to do so, that's up to the town manager. uh, and then the council, but everything in its course. In any event, I'm not making a commitment on that, but since the Indy is here, um, it's not something that I've necessarily committed to doing at this point. Going on to the two things that we have on the agenda that need some discussion, and we should just go ahead and get on with it. One is we've had previously talked about what we should do with the TSO committee charge, and we checked with Athena about this, and GOL takes responsibility for committee charges. So all we could do is make a recommendation to TSO under normal circumstances. However, since they're not meeting any long, they have no intent to meet again during this council term. So what I think that we could do is make a recommendation of what we think the committee charge amendment might be, and if we agree to a recommendation of a committee charge, send it to the council president, and then it could go in the carryover for the council itself. Jennifer?
Yeah, so there are definitely items in the committee charge that we don't do, and I don't know that TSO's ever done it, like advising the town on town-wide events.
Yeah, the one thing that I thought about in that regard is that there is in the town manager goals that we just adopted a provision that has to do with that subject and actually specifically mentions TSO. And let's see if I have that or not available to me, because I think I pulled it up at one point. Not sure that I have it easily accessible to me, but if one of you has a chance to look in your packet for the council meeting and knows where that particular provision is, that's something that we might want to consider. But what I'm going to do is go to share screen in a second, and then what we'll.
Sandy, I can read it if you want to hear it.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? Since
That specifically mentions TSO and the goals is under administration and leadership. And it says, work with the council and TSO committee to develop ways to streamline and improve the recruiting, vetting, selection, and onboarding of community volunteers who serve on the town's boards and committees. This process should include exploring ways the town might shrink the number of boards and committees. That's how it reads.
okay, so it's actually about boards and committees.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that fits under the charge, outreach and community relations, the very first bullet point, and maybe arguably the second bullet point. But I agree with Jennifer. The third bullet point under outreach and community relations is something we've never done, and I don't really understand what we would do or what that even means. So that's just a thought as we look at this, whether we would consider deleting it, or maybe someone on this committee can explain to me what it means. But I think the first two bullets, especially the first one, covers this referral from the council to TSO.
Okay.
Bob has his hand up.
Bob?
Yeah, I looked through this again and I agree. I think this can go. I think Lynn basically, or the council president basically sends an email around saying we have these events, who wants to participate? And that's kind of how we're participating. I don't think that TSO needs to get involved in that.
What I put on the screen, and if you don't see it, let me know, but it is the same document that I sent to you yesterday. Jennifer?
Yeah, so how would TSO get involved with the onboarding of new members to multiple member bodies that are appointed by the town manager? I mean, the way it works now is the staff to that committee would be the person that would bring new members up to speed. I just don't, I don't see what role TSO has there. And I remain concerned that it feels to me that TSO's role in approving town manager appointments is very much just pro forma. And that when we do question an appointment, we're told it's the town manager's decision. So I just, it seems like having the town manager come to TSO almost feels like just an extra step. Have we ever not approved an appointment? And yeah, it just that because I know when I've expressed concerns, I'm told, well, it's a town manager's decision, and it always feels like then the town manager should just bring it to the council. Why is it going to TSO?
Um, we can raise that question, but on the other hand, we've now adopted a goal for the council next year and for the town manager to look at that issue. I'm not sure that that's something that needs to be held over until next year for discussion, because that's now been committed to by the council.
I think looking at the number of town boards, committees, and commissions is I think that's a good thing, and that seems appropriate for TSO. I mean, what do we have, like 40 or now town manager appointed multiple member bodies? That's seems probably unreal, that could be reviewed. But and I guess I should say I'm certainly not opposed to town manager appointments coming to TSO, but I think there's a real tension between it's coming to us for approval and then being told, well, it's the town manager's decision that those and that it's really not appropriate for us to question that. So I don't know what the thinking is. I wasn't on the first council, so I don't know what the thinking was when that was part of TSO's charge, was to review town manager appointments, recommended appointments to multiple member bodies. Now, Councilor Ryan and Andy, you were on the first council, so maybe you remember what.
Well, I'd be happy to address it, but I want to wait until you're done and wait until Andy recognizes me. But
Yeah,
yes,
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
There are two things that you've raised, Jennifer, that both, I think, I think we talked about this one before, and I'm not going to say anything you haven't heard before, but my view has always been that the function of TSO is to ensure that the process has been followed and that it's put out in black and white. So what Paul has done when it comes to TSO is provided us with a wealth of information about who he's appointing, their background, the process, outreach, etc. And I think our primary job is to ensure that that continues. So if Paul were suddenly to stop doing that, if he were simply to come to a meeting and say, okay, I'm appointing this, this, and this, and this to this committee, and this to that committee, and there's no information, no explanation of the process, no accounting of who was on the committee that made the recommendations to him, then I think we'd all have serious concerns. So I do think there's a fair amount of simply making sure that the process is being followed. That's important. And it's not something I think the council, has the time for. It should be something that we can, and we do. And sometimes questions come up. Today I have questions about the two students, and we always have the option, if we wish, to say we don't recommend someone. I think it would be extremely unlikely, for a whole host of reasons that have nothing to do with the current situation, but it's certainly possible. And a counselor can always vote against a recommendation, no matter what. So I think it's mostly to ensure that a process is being observed and that it's being recorded and that we can ask questions about it. And if suddenly, I mean, we'll get someday there will be a new town manager. And if they have now a model and a procedure to follow, I do agree with you that it's very unlikely that we'd ever reject a manager appointment. But we have that, or recommend that it be rejected. The council can reject. It can, I believe, say no. So I think it's mostly process. I also wanted to address the issue of the TSO referral, but maybe I should wait and we should talk about this first.
Um,
Or do you want me? I briefly, I just wanted to say about the TSO referral that I think one of the functions of this committee, which is something we should probably talk about today if we have time, is that it's an opportunity for us as five counselors to learn about how our various town services and how things function. And so it's an opportunity for us to talk to staff about the onboarding process, about the challenges, about what could be done better, what we're hearing from our constituents. So I agree that there's a lot of this that we wouldn't get into because it's really staff decisions. But I think it's valuable to have a forum where the public and counselors can hear about the process and what some of the challenges are, and maybe make suggestions. And I do agree that there's a role for us to play, hopefully, in trying to figure out ways to shrink the number of boards and committees that's possible. So I think there's a public function simply by having a meeting and having a discussion on the agenda. People can come and listen, and they can also make comment, and we can ask questions. So I think that's the primary or one of the functions here that we serve, and I think it would be served in this referral.
so we sort of jumped around a little bit as we started out talking about one of the outreach functions, and then we moved over to town services. Would it be easier if we pick one category and see if we want to make any other recommendations, and then go to the other so that we can keep it organized as to how we're getting through this? Jennifer?
Yeah, that's fine with me what you just suggested, do it one section at a time. But I continue to have concerns about the committee appointment process, because as long as we don't know who's applied, I don't think we know that the process is fully fair. There's someone I know, not in my district, who is extremely well qualified, with great depth of municipal government background. And I know that he's applied for multiple member bodies, or he's applied multiple times for different bodies and is never appointed. And I can't understand that, but just based on a recommendation coming to TSO, if I didn't know that this person had applied, I wouldn't know. So it still feels like a flawed process to me.
Do we need to separate out, I see, do we need to separate out the question of what it is that the council has put into the goals for next year, which are really listed as goals for the manager, but they're also goals for the council. And the review of appointment process, um, is an important step to be taken, and I think it's covered in the suggested carryover memo. So we need to keep the two documents separate. And is this really a discussion in the carryover memo about endorsing that process? And that's a responsibility we see for the next year for the TSO. Looking at the charge, we aside from the new one that was added up on this section, you see the other bullets. And what I had suggested is the change was to add those words that are underlined in red, who were not reviewed and recommended by the Transportation Parking Commission or referred by the town council. And I wrote it that way so that if the council decides that a TPC recommendation for some reason needed to be referred to the committee, that there was that opportunity. But as a routine matter, we're trying to suggest that it's not going to be referred unless there was a specific reason that the council had decided to refer it. That's seemed to me the most appropriate way, because we had already made the decision in a prior meeting that it would be inappropriate to tell the council that it could not refer something. And I thought that this is a way we could handle it. So looking at those four bullets, are there any comments that anyone has about those four bullets or anything missing from them? Councilor Ryan.
So the second bullet where you've made the changes, Andy, I'm wondering if it simply read, strike the first clause that you put there and just read referred, so we would only review and make recommendations to the town council on measures related to public ways, including transportation and parking, public lands and town facilities, as referred by the town council. Why would that not be sufficient? So if the council, as you just said, if the council does decide that for some reason, God knows why, but for some reason they want us to look at something TPC has already, looked at or is going to look at, then we would look at it because the council wants us to. But otherwise, we would not, because it's not been referred to us. And I find the statement that were not reviewed and recommended by the transport, it's just, why is it necessary at this point? And unless it's referred to us by the council on this topic, no matter what it is, we would not take it up. So I'm wondering if we could just simplify it. That's my question, what people think.
I said I was trying to plant the idea that we should be signaling that it's not the normal course of business. It's not normally expected, but leave the possibility to exist. Because we don't want, the whole idea of the TPC was to simplify the process. Um,
But it can only come to us if it's referred by the council. And so it doesn't matter what the TPC does or doesn't do, or reviews or doesn't review. It only matters what the council refers to us on these particular topics. I just seems like we don't need it, but maybe others disagree, but I just feel like it could just be, we will take any of this up on referral by the council. But we don't need to mention TPC. We don't need to plant any seeds because TPC now exists and it has a very clearly defined set of roles, and it's there in black and white. And I don't think we need to do any seed planning or gesturing or anything else. And I think the charge document should be as lean and clean as possible. And I think mentioning TPC here only creates some potential confusion. It's my initial thought, but I don't know. What do others think? Do they think they need it? Can we take it out?
Jennifer?
I would agree with Councilor Ryan that it could just say that are referred by the council. I mean, because they'd have to be referred by the council. Right.
Either way.
Yeah.
Right.
Does anybody disagree with Councilor Ryan's suggestion? Is then what I can do is just delete those words. So it would just be referred by the town council. It's only 4 words that we're adding.
That's my thought. It would just be simpler, cleaner, and doesn't raise the question of, well, what is or isn't done by TPC. It doesn't matter. What matters is what the council decides to send to us, and that's what we'll take up,
So we're
no
leaving.
matter where it comes from.
So there's agreement that we're leaving it like that.
Okay.
I see the town managers joined us, so let's finish the discussion of the town services section, and then I'll stop sharing for the moment, and we'll go back to item 3 on the agenda. Bob?
Yeah, Jennifer, it seems like what you're referring or what your concern is a process issue, not the fact that we review and make recommendations. So do you want to put this in? Do you want to put like something to the effect of the process for review and make recommendations to the town council for the process for all appointments? Or, I mean, it seems like that's your concern is process and not the recommendations or the reviewing process reviews that we conduct.
Shall I
Jennifer?
respond?
Yes.
I was also responding to Councilor Ryan, who said our role is to ensure that the process was followed for recommending appointments. And my concern is that if we don't know who's applied for the positions, we don't really know that the process, we're kind of going in blind. I mean, for all we know, one candidate applied. Now, whether, we've been told that individuals or residents who submit CAVs, that those CAVs need to be kept confidential. Now, we have talked about whether we can ask people who submit CAVs if they can be public, but that to me has been I feel like we're kind of blind when we vote to recommend that the council approve town manager recommendations and that the process that we're approving the process and we're comfortable with it if we don't know who applied. And since when residents apply to council appointed committees, the entire process is transparent. I don't know why those cabs can be public, but if you apply to a town manager appointed committee, they can't be public. I mean, in a council appointed committee, the interviews are public. Our discussing and evaluating each candidate's interview, that's also public. And yet apparently on a town manager appointed committee, we can't even know who applied. So, and I'm not sure if that's a charter change or it's just the council has to vote that in a change of process, that at the least we would ask candidates if they're comfortable with their name being shared. But I know that there are people that apply that would like their names to be publicized because they feel they've applied to many different boards and committees and are never recommended.
Isn't this a discussion that's now going to happen through the process that was established in the goals that the council adopted on Monday for the town manager and by extension to itself?
I'm just gonna say, I don't think so. Like one of my recommendations or one of what I wanted to see it as part of the goal, and it wasn't included in the final, which was that the calves be made public or people who submit calves be asked if their names could be public.
Why couldn't that be brought up at a future TSO meeting that's responding to the council referral? I don't understand why it can't be brought. I think we could argue about this for a long time, and I'd be
It'd
happy
be
to
great if
argue
it was
about
brought up.
But I don't see why it can't be. What I'm saying is it sounds like Andy's suggesting, and I certainly would read that referral as an opportunity for you or anyone who has that concern to raise it. And then I could offer my objections to your concerns, but that's a debate that I think certainly could be held. And I think that referral allows that to happen. And if it, for some reason, if it turns out we can't, then certainly an individual counselor can raise it at council and ask that it be taken up.
So where do you see it in this referral?
Well, I'll read it again. Where did it go? It says, work with the council and TSO to develop ways to streamline and improve the recruiting, which sounds like what you're talking about. You're arguing that there are people who very much want to serve, but for reasons that you don't understand and they don't understand, they're not selected. And vetting and selection and onboarding of volunteers who serve on towns, boards, and committees. So that to me is pretty broad and would certainly include this discussion. It seems to me. Now, do people read that differently? I mean, I don't think Athena's here now, and I'd certainly value her input, but that's how I read that. So I don't think we need to make any special motions or change our carryover documents. I think this includes in it the opportunity to have that discussion.
Okay, I didn't
do you
read
see
it
it
that way,
differently?
but I'm happy to.
Why wouldn't this be included in that? Why isn't
Yeah,
this
no, that's, I mean, it just doesn't address it specifically, but
specifically?
yeah, but that's fine if we can, whether I'm on TSO next council session or
Right, that's
even
a
if
whole
I'm not, I
nother-
could bring that to TSO. So
Right.
okay, I can live with that.
I think that's how I read it. Yeah.
So let's hold that discussion for the carryover memo.
Okay.
And then because we can always decide that carryover memo is insufficient and come back to this. Maybe we should. So what I think that I will do, if there's agreement from the committee, is for the moment stop the share of the screen and turn it over to and go back to item 3 on the agenda, which we had deliberately passed over until the town manager joined us. Is there agreement to that?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so let me get just to stop share. Um, Morning, Paul.
Morning. I'm sorry to
Uh,
be late.
that's okay. So you gather what happened. Um, there were no public comments that were offered at the beginning. We said we'd come back to public comments at the end.
Hmm.
In case more people joined us. There were no minutes to approve. You weren't here. We had skipped over
Hmm.
section 3. We were gone to item 4 on the agenda.
Okay.
But now we'll go back to item 3. So you had 4 appointments that are listed on the agenda, and why don't we take them up one at a time in the order is presented, I assume.
You'll have to remind me what the order is, Andy.
It's what it's the order.
CDBG Advisory
I
Committee.
think
Okay.
the first
CDB.
one is CDBG Advisory Committee. I
Okay.
think I put them in order, and I think alphabetically.
Okay.
So the first is that one, the Community Development Block Grant Advisory Committee.
So this is it says the Community Development Block Grant Committee. There's some urgency because they're beginning their work. They're having their public hearing. There are 2 vacancies on the committee. The two appointments are both students. One is a student at UMass and one is a student at Amherst College. Both are have been enthusiastic about wanting to participate in local government, and why I tend to be hesitant about adding 2 new students to this committee. There were no other applications. These are people actually who Angela actually recruited to put their names in. So I'm comfortable putting them forward because this is an advisory. They provide advice to the town manager and to town staff in terms of what they think the priorities for the community development block grant funds should be. They have a strong chair. And so since it's advisory to a decision that I make, I felt comfortable inviting them to participate in this committee. And I should name them. So first person, Morel Lamada. She's a student at UMass, and actually wrote an interesting article about community, having college students more involved in town government. She has experience at the local government level, although if you call City of New York local is sort of a little bit different than the town of Amherst. But she did have experience working with members of the community, listening to their interests, and prioritizing concerns and making recommendations. She is working in architecture and sustainable development. The other person is Mayan Thorson, who is a student at Amherst College. She has experience mostly in high school in the city of San Francisco, and she's involved in the student governance of Amherst College as serving on the Association of Students, which is sort of their student government group. And in high school, she served on student government groups as well. And was involved in Youth Climate Summit, which is led climate education initiatives. So those are our 2 applicants, our 2 appointments.
So I see Jennifer's hand is up.
Yeah, so this is an important committee. And I'm kind of shocked that those were the only applicants. So that definitely speaks to outreach. We're not, yeah, it's not working.
Yeah. So anything you can do to get people to put their names in. We do a lot of outreach, and
Is there any way for us to know ahead of time that?
Sure, it's on the website. It's on the
No. I know we know that you're recruiting for it, but
Yeah.
I don't know, just that. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's on the community, not you, but that.
No, I agree 100% with you on this.
To know that this committee, we really need more applicants. And how long is the appointment?
One would be for until June 30th, 2027, and the other was June 30th, 2028.
And what year are the students in?
I'm sorry, Athena?
Do you normally include board and committee vacancies in your town manager report?
I don't, but I could do that. What we're looking for. That's what I think, like, what are we focused on?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're saying, Jennifer, is can you highlight them for us? What we're
Yeah, I guess I'm also, or in a case where we're really struggling to get applicants.
hmm That's a great idea. I can do that.
And so will both students, or will the student you're appointing for 2 years be here in 2 years?
Well, will any of us be here in 2 years? But yes.
No. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess what I'm saying,
Yeah.
they're not seniors.
No,
She's not
no,
a senior.
no.
That's
Yes.
what I mean.
Yes.
That's one way to look at it, Paul. I like that. Yeah.
No, I always try to co-term with their tenure as a student because you just don't know after the.
What has been the experience with students who've been appointed to committees? Have they stayed for their terms and been valuable participants from what you know?
Well, I don't think it's that much different than there's some do and some don't. They tend,
Right.
if some are really good participants and really valuable, and others, you know, not as good. But that happens with almost all of our appointees.
Mhm.
Because actually, the conversation that you came in to when you joined the meeting, we were talking about the committee charge and the section of the committee charge that had to do with committee appointments.
hmm
And we were trying, and then the question, there was concerns that were being expressed about what our role is and trying to see if we needed to clarify the role as we looked at the committee charge and also looking at the recently adopted goal
hmm
and whether that is the proper way that TSO, next year's TSO, should be involved in this discussion. But there was concern expressed about the appointment process and whether there any, and it seemed like that goal that was set by the council is the place it should be, but that was the discussion that was going on.
hmm
I noticed that when you listed the people who participated with you in the interview process, that you did not have a member of the committee.
That's true.
Was that because no one was interested in doing that, or?
I don't. I would have to ask Angela that question. Usually, the chair of the committee is invited to participate as well.
But apparently chose not to, but you don't know.
I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah. Our
Jennifer?
standard is to invite the staff, the chair, and someone from the resident oversight committee, and sometimes two members of the committee will show up.
Jennifer, do you have anything more?
Couple of things. So one, this has happened, so maybe now the question is included. I know on the local historic district commission where they have to make site visits, a student was appointed and then was taking a semester a year abroad.
Yes, but he didn't even get sworn in
Okay.
because you have to get sworn in person.
Yeah, I guess
The question on this one, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, it's just when someone is so new to town is understanding the context in which all these applications.
So the question on this one was, is it better to leave the seat vacant or to fill the seat? And that's a question, and that was a question we really, and given the time frame of the work, and knowing that we wouldn't have an opportunity again until January, which is when they're pretty much in the middle of doing their work, the decision, we felt like it was more important to have the seats filled than to have a vacancy.
Councilor Ryan?
I mean, as Paul first has stated, with students, as with any appointments, you just don't know. And some work out and some don't. I understand Councilor Top's concern. Students are generally speaking here for 4 years, but who knows? So that's, I think, the first thought. The second thought is one that I've been making since ever I was on the council, and I will continue to make probably until my dying breath. This is a town that has 60%, give or take, student population, and they are pretty much completely unrepresented. And while many of them come and go, and et cetera, I salute the manager in trying to recruit and encourage students to participate. We have a student right now, maybe more than one, I'm not sure of all the identities, but who come regularly to our council meetings to take notes and then make that public. So I think it's something we should continue to work towards, in spite of the challenges, to encourage students to be engaged in the community in which they live. I'm glad these appointments are here, and I hope I can now make a motion.
Yeah, my thought in this and about this subject is that I'm disappointed that we didn't get any long-term residents, in part because what the committee is advising on is what the priorities will be for CDBG funds, and if we receive PD, this how they would be used. And at times there has been disagreement with the end result. I know that we had one counselor who is not happy that CDBG funds were being used for North Pleasant Street sidewalk is a priority. And that's an expression of some dissatisfaction with how of the decisions that get made. But it is a significant amount of funding, and it is, and there's also the 3 human services agencies or nonprofits that can apply for funds. So it'd be, in my mind, beneficial to have better representation. On the other hand, if there's been a recruitment process and the manager ends up with no choice, as is apparent in this situation, then you deal with what you have to deal with. I think that I would probably be supportive of going ahead, and I'm saying this as an individual member, not as chair, of going ahead with that appointment. But it would, we might want to consider in our report to the council, reporting a little bit of this discussion. So I see that Paul and Athena and Jennifer have hands up. I'm going to start with Paul.
I'd defer to Athena first, if you don't mind.
With all due respect to the committee, I'd like to remind you of the council's statement of values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that includes ensuring measures that foster an unbiased and inclusive environment that is free of discrimination, harassment, and negative stereotyping toward any person or group. I think if the committee were discussing a different type of group of people, those with a different socioeconomic class or race, that this conversation would feel very different. And I just want to point out that stereotyping students as not being as committed or not being as available as those with maybe, like I said, different socioeconomic status or children or any other type of group would be really inappropriate. So I just felt the need to say that.
Paul, do you have anything you want to add, or should I go to Jennifer?
You can go to Jennifer. Yeah.
Jennifer?
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted at this point.
I appreciate what Athena said. I mean, students are not a protected class, and my concern was not that we are appointing students. My concern is that it's sort of sobering that for such an important committee, CPA, where we're really, there's important projects. I mean, we're talking about appropriating a lot of money. I'm just surprised that there were so few applicants. That's my concern, not that
Mhm.
students applied and were going to be selected, but that there were only 2 applicants to this important committee. I think, yeah, I think that's
It's
says
the
something.
block grant. Yeah.
Mhm.
Paul.
Okay, so I didn't say there were 2 applicants, but I said there were only students applied. Um, so, but also, this is a complicated one for me. This is one we struggled with. So currently on the committee is Andrew Hart, who's been elected to the school committee, Nat Larson, who's on the board of library trustees, Zoe Solis, Suzanne Schilling, and Olivia Keller, who is also a student, but her term expires in 2026. Their work begins really in January, and the RFP's been issued for CDBG. This is not CPA, Jennifer, it's CDBG, which is it's not as much money.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so this is a different type of committee. The CPA is hard at work and doing their work.
I'm so
So
sorry.
that's okay. So CDBG is typically what happens with CDBG is they have 5 social service agencies that they allocate funds to, and as we maximize out that, and then there's some public construction projects that have to fit within certain income eligible areas. It can only be done in income eligible areas. So this is where, you know, we're paving the sidewalk in North Amherst because it fits into the income eligible areas. There aren't a lot of, and that's why we did all the work on East Hadley Road, because that was all CDBG funds. The work they have to, they really start their work again. The RFP went out. I think it went out this week. Right after the first year, they start reviewing proposals. They have a public hearing in either February or March, and we have to submit everything to the state by the end of March. So it's a really tight time frame, and that's one of the reasons that I struggled with this was because I wasn't confident that we would be able to get if we left it open, it would hobble the committee with having 2 vacancies. Um, as a and then if someone were appointed, say later in January when the council gets reorganized, they would have missed the first half of the orientation, the listening to the proposals, things like that. So the since there was concern with students, one student who's on now, her term expires in next June 30th. So will be for this funding year only.
Bob.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I agree with Paul's rationale for filling the positions. I don't think we should have open positions. I mean, I share Jennifer's concern that, broadly speaking, we don't get the participation that we should. There should be lots and lots and lots of people that are interested in this committee, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm frustrated that when I stepped down and chose not to serve again, there weren't a whole lot of people lined up in my district to run. So it's a problem, but I don't think it's a problem limited to this particular committee, or it's just a problem in general. And CDBG is a funny program. It has a lot of eligibility rules that need to be followed. So it really, the money can't be easily diverted to somebody's pet project. It has to be there's as Paul mentioned, there are eligibility rules, and majority has to go towards LMI people, the population. So you need to do your homework and make sure you get good projects in there. And that's one of the reasons that these community service organizations keep getting funding, because they've already sort of met that bar. So anyway, I do support these appointments.
Jennifer, you're muted again.
No, I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed. I read it quickly as CPA,
Mhm.
and I was just really surprised that we didn't have more applicants for a CPA committee. I
Different animal.
support these.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So, Councilor Ryan, you said you had a motion and you were holding it.
Yeah, I would like to move that TSO recommend to the town council that they approve the town manager's appointment to the Community Development Block Grant Advisory Committee for the following candidates for a term to expire June 30, 2027, Morel Limata, and for a term to expire June 30, 2028, Mayan Thorson.
Second.
Second, yeah.
Okay, this motion made and seconded. Councilor Lord?
Yes, thank you. I just really wanted to thank our town clerk, the best one in the country, Athena, for bringing that up to us and just making sure we're being mindful. So thank you so much, Athena. And now I'm ready to vote. You want me to hear my yay or nay?
Yes, go ahead.
Yay.
Bob?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yay?
And Councilor Taub?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so it's 5-0. And I will attempt to say a little bit in our in the draft committee report I'll try and put together. So I'm going to be really squeezed on time as always. To just acknowledge that we had a discussion of the issue and recommended it for the reasons that I think we've pretty clearly stated. And it wasn't that we think that they're unqualified. We very much think that they are qualified, but that we're just disappointed that there wasn't some other applicants to consider. That's pretty much, I think, all we can say. So we should go ahead to the Community Preservation Act Committee, which is the next listed. And I think there's one, and that's just one representative who's been recommended by the committee, the board, the Housing Authority.
Yes. So this is yes. So it's Mark Barrett who the Housing Authority voted to have him serve as their representative on this CPA committee, and the current person who is representing the Housing Authority did not stand for re-election. So
Any questions on that one? Motion, Councilor Ryan, or do you want
I'd
me
be
to
happy to make a motion that the TSO recommend to the town council that they approve the town manager's appointment to the Community Preservation Act Committee of Mark Barrett for a term to expire June 30, 2026.
Second,
Okay, motion's been made and seconded.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
I,
Bob?
Yeah. Hey, Paul, I was just surprised that the appointment expires in next June. Is this because Mark Barrett's term on the Housing Authority expires then, or is this just normal?
No, these are all one-year appointments. For
Okay.
all every year, the different committees make the appointments.
Okay. Thank you.
Jennifer?
and I'm also because Sam McLeod will be coming onto the council. So is he still on CPA? Yes.
He is not.
Oh, he's not. His
His
term ended. Okay.
His term ended. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we've been motion has been made and seconded. Let's proceed to a vote. Bob Hegner,
Aye.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Councilor Lord,
Can you hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Did you say yes?
Yes, aye.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear. Jennifer?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so it's 5-0. Um, the next one is the Department of Public Works Building Committee.
So this is the new committee for the Department of Public Works to get started. There are designated seats, and so the designated seats are town manager, and that's going to be Paul Bockelman, the superintendent of public works, which is going to be or designee, which is Guilford Mooring, finance director Sean Mangano, town council was voted by the council to recommend Pam Rooney, and then we interviewed people for the 3 resident seats. A very strong applicant pool. So the 3 people are David Offield, and he's a retired professor of civil and environmental engineering from the university. He's done a lot of work on hydrology and water resources and stream flow and site development and things like that, and also has participated in a building project for a nonprofit organization, but wasn't in charge of it. Has always been supportive of getting a new facility for the Department of Public Works. The second person is Joe Cook. Joe he's worked for 35 years for the city of Northampton, first as the assistant city solicitor, and then moved into procurement and was instrumental in many of their major building projects, including 3 new schools, a police station, a fire station. He has participated in the upgrade of their wastewater treatment facility. He has a legal background as well as being a recognized expert on procurement law, and is now retired and looking to stay involved with the town. And the third person is Christine Gray Mullen. Christine is a civil engineer who has extensive experience serving in different capacities for the town. Currently, she's also on the Jones Library Building Committee, which she serves as the vice chair. And has a ton of experience working with the Department of Public Works, serving on one of the previous committees as well, and felt that her background, both specifically with public works and her understanding of the operations of the public works, plus her experience with her background as an engineer and her experience on building committees was very strong. So those are the 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 appointees.
Questions? It's a great group. No questions, then we should get a motion.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that TSO recommend the town council approve the following appointments to the Department of Public Works Building Committee for the terms to last the length of the building process. The town manager, Paul Bockelman, superintendent of public works, Guilford Mooring, finance director, Sean Mangano, town councilor, Pam Rooney, David Alfeld, Joe Cook, and Christine Gray Mullen.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Anything further on the motion discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. Bob Hegner,
Yes.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Councilor Lord,
Aye.
Jennifer,
Yes.
and I'm an aye. And I'm an aye, so it's 5-0, which then brings us to the last, which is the Jones Library Building Committee.
Yeah, so this is now that we have Finance Director Sean Mangano on board, he will assume the slot for this Finance Director, replacing Jennifer LaFountain, who had been serving on in that seat. And he's already been attending the meeting, so he's very working on that project as well.
Questions? If not, I'm going to offer a motion, Councilor Ryan.
Sure. I move that TSO recommend to the town council that they approve the following appointment to the Jones Library Building Committee for a term to last the length of the building process. Finance Director Sean Mangano.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. Bob Hegner,
Aye.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Councilor Lord,
Aye.
Jennifer Taub,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so it's 5-0. So thank you, and we can then get back to the agenda item that
Great.
we were.
Okay, and I have to sign off now too, Andy. So thank you very much, councilors.
Okay, well, thank you. And did you have any comments on the topic we were discussing, which is the committee, the whole question of committee appointments and the decision made by the council on the goal?
Oh my God, yes, I have a ton of thoughts on that, but I don't think that's on the agenda.
No, we will. I mean, I think that what we will do, um, at a minimum, is just noted in the carryover memo that is which is advice to the next TSO about what its role is, to remind them of that role, but we don't have to say anything about what they do. That's their job next year.
Okay,
So
good. Okay.
I don't think that there's anything else to add. So thank you for
Okay,
joining
thank
us.
you. Take care.
Talk
Bye.
to you. Bye. So going back to what was on the screen before, just have to again get to the, here it is. Okay. So was there anything else under town services that we want to do right now, as far as do we want to, is there anything, I think where we were was whether we would add anything to the review and make recommendations and appointments for multiple member bodies, or whether we want to just leave that in the carryover memo with the notation to the item that was just referred to. So if there's none, I'm going to just go to the second page. There had been some question about that. Is there anyone who wants to propose a change in the language that is currently in the charge for outreach and community relations? I see two hands up, and just take them in order that I see them on the screen. Bob?
Yeah, I think we can delete the third bullet, advise and make recommendations to the town council regarding town council participation in community events. I think the president and the vice president of the council can make these recommendations or can bring these events to the attention of the council during council meetings. I don't see that TSO needs to be involved in all. And I don't think we've been doing this. I think Jennifer was, or George noted that.
George?
I
Castle?
agree. I agree.
So, the proposal is to suggest that we delete that and explain, and we would explain it in our committee report, and can discuss whether we need to explain it in the carryover memo. So is there agreement that we do that? So is there anything else? Do we want to go ahead and vote a recommendation on the revisions to the committee charge, or to hold that till after we have our second discussion, Councilor Ryan?
I actually wanted just for a moment to continue the discussion under outreach and community relations.
Okay.
I'm looking in particular at the fourth bullet item, and I'm wondering what my colleagues think about this. This is something we also have never done, to my knowledge. Now, maybe I was not on the committee for the last 2 years, so maybe that has happened. But reading this, it would seem this committee would be a place to have discussions or conversations about issues related to, as it says, related to the relationship between the town and our institutions of higher learning. That would seem, in my reading of this, to include issues related to student behavior, issues in neighborhoods. It could also, it seems to me, be a place, it seems, the way it's written, to have discussions about increased financial support from the university or from the institutions of higher learning, ways in which there could be collaboration, say with the wastewater treatment plant or infrastructure. We also have a recent point made or raised by the council related to the issue of fire safety and the cost of fire safety. So I guess my question to my colleagues is, first of all, has this item or bullet item ever been come before this committee in the last couple of years? And secondly, is my description of possible discussion topics sound something like what they might think this would cover? I'm not sure the town manager would be happy about this, but I'm just asking us as committee members, is this the appropriate place to have these kinds of discussions, which would obviously be open to the public and opportunity for us to ask questions? Or are we trespassing upon sacred ground here?
Does anybody else have a comment? Because otherwise I'm going to... Jennifer.
Yeah, actually, I'll let you speak first to because you've been on this committee. I haven't been on the committee any longer than Councilor Ryan has, and you have. So you can talk about whether it's ever come to this committee before.
Well, this is only my second term on this committee. I was on the last.
I personally don't recall of anything. I mean,
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that I don't recall of anything. I think that part of it is something that I included in the carryover memo, which was the observation that the committee is ultimately limited in what it can address, not just by what's in the charge, but by how much time it has. And the public ways has really consumed the council to a large extent. And one of the things that we have done is to lessen the load of this committee on public ways issues in the amount of time. So I think that the committee will have the opportunity to do things it hasn't done before. And I've always felt that where the committee is at its weakest is in having time to talk about outreach and community relations. And so I don't think I would, there's anything to say to strengthen it. I don't think that there's I think there's no reason to remove it. I think that Councilor Ryan has stated why it's important. So my tendency would be to just leave it and hope that the next committee will venture out into areas that we just haven't had time to do, as opposed to that we don't think is important. So that's my thought. Jennifer, and don't forget, yeah.
Yes, I think I would recommend having it be here. I think when we talk about community relations and outreach, as we were saying, since the colleges and university are so much of the community, that this is a very appropriate place, and I think appropriate for TSO to include in its community outreach and relations.
That's right.
So it sounds like the topics I just listed don't strike anyone as beyond the pale, at least to be broached. And I'm not criticizing the committee or anyone for not taking these up, given the workload that we've had. But what I'm hearing, at least from a number of you, is that these could be possible topics of a future TSO. I'm also thinking back to the prior discussion on town services. we at one point had thought we might invite Lisa Borchetta to come and talk about senior services. Again, my thought is that that's an opportunity for us to hear about a crucial service that the town provides and what they're doing and what the challenges are and what perhaps more could be done. And it seems this committee could be, again, a possible place for that public discussion to take place. I raised something in my town manager goals that didn't make it into the final document, but I still think is an issue I'd like to pursue, and I'm not sure this committee would be the place to do it. But again, it concerns a vital service the town provides, which is our recreation athletic fields, and the challenge we have constantly to maintain them. So that would be another topic that I would think, in theory at least, this committee could take up to try and understand what the problem is, to see if there are possible solutions. We're not trying to take the job or take over the job of staff or town manager, but I think one of our roles is to reflect for the larger community some of the concerns and issues that we're hearing related to town services. And so that would be a second one I would think of under services. Do these sound like things that people think are appropriate, at least from our perspective right now? That's my question.
My answer, simple answer is yes. I think we should. It's too bad that the committee really hasn't had the time to do these things, but yes, I think that's within the purview of the committee. It's certainly within the purview of the council, and this is the appropriate council committee, I think, to address it.
And I've already stated my opinion that I think we ought to give the next TSO committee an opportunity to do things that we just haven't had time to do. And I did think about the senior services one. It was really two reasons we didn't do it. One was the amount of time we were spending on the TPC issue and other public works issues. And, the other was that she was new to the job and needed to, become involved a little bit more before we invited her in. And for those two reasons, while we had thought about it, we decided not to take up that issue in this council term. But I think it would be very appropriate for the next council term. So, are there any other changes that people would propose to this item, to this committee charge? Otherwise, some point, we could do it right now, is to just take a motion that we recommend these revisions to the committee charge, and that we request that the president of the council include it in the work for the council for the next year, because it has to be then referred by the council to GOL under GOL's responsibility to review all committee charges.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, let's proceed to a vote. Bob Hegner.
Aye.
Councilor Ryan.
Aye.
Councilor Lord.
Aye.
Jennifer Taub.
Yes.
And I'm in it, yes. So it is a unanimous recommendation of the committee. And I will send this document along to Athena after the meeting concludes, so that she has what our work product was. And with that said, the other item also sent to you yesterday, and I wish I had been able to send it earlier, but can only do what I can do, and that was wait until I had actually uh, developed it. So let's see. Here it is. So I did do some minor changes. They are not substantive. They were corrections on grammatical or spelling kinds of things there, but not substantive changes. So it is labeled as draft 2 just to distinguish that, but there are no real significant changes. So I don't know how to go about doing this. It's a little bit longer memo. What I tried to do is use the prior transition carryover memo from last year and the model that was put together in GOL's carryover memo, which we've already seen in the council packet, and then but obviously proceed with the carryover memo from our committee. And I think we just need to try and move through it in each section and see if there are comments, or the other thing I could do is see if anybody has any overall comments about how it was put together and structured. They should raise their hand on that too. Councilor Ryan.
Andy, I think it's excellent. I think the format is excellent. I think following the model, I think you said of GOL, but this is in a good format. I had no concerns with what you've presented, and I think you've caught whatever little typos or other things that I might have noted. The only comment I have is, and maybe it's in this draft 2, but you would suggest that there might be 2 items we'd want to add to this. One of them is, in fact, the reference to the town council referral that we've already talked about, and I've read to the committee, and it's in your memo to us, your draft carryover memo. Maybe that's already here, but if it isn't, that should be added. And then I think you also were going to add the fact that, and we've just done it, that we are going to, we're sending on a revised committee charge to the next TSO with the hope that they will send that to GOL and get that done. So I think this is fine with those 2 additions. I don't think we need to go through it in great detail, but that's just my thought.
Bob?
Yeah, I agree in general with what Councilor Ryan said. I do think we need to, or I would like to see us add in the waste hauler discussion that the council did appropriate money for a consultant, so that it's not just us out here. The council actually did they actually passed, we passed an appropriation as well. So the council passed a motion, and I'm not sure when we did the actual appropriation. I think it was a little bit later because we needed to get feedback from the town manager. Anyway, I'm not sure when we actually passed that. The council passed a motion we have in here, but doesn't have that they actually appropriated money for this. And the only other thing, I believe when we spoke with Eric Weiss, it's not clear, but it was kind of towards the end of the discussion that he committed to regular reporting to the town manager, who then would report to the TSO committee and council. I don't think he agreed to provide reports to us directly. I don't know whether they're more. I thought they were really more meetings to kind of discuss where they stood rather than official reports, but maybe I'm getting confused about that. But that's the only thing those are the only things I would like to see addressed.
Um, the appropriation, I believe, was done with the when we had the excess funds at the end of last year and closing out the year before, and we're transferring funds. Was that
Okay.
when it was funded? I can check on that.
Yeah, but I think we should include that in there because it gives it a little more emphasis on, that the not only did the council pass a motion, but the council actually passed money to be spent to do this.
Okay, I can add that. I'm going to have to get the exact information to be more specific, but I believe it was with the transfers that
It probably, yeah, I probably.
uh, and as far as the other piece that you added, we should talk about that real quickly before we go into Councilor Ryan, because it's sort of like the last part of the last sentence.
Yeah, I thought what Eric agreed to do and Paul kind of jumped in was to meet regularly with Paul, who would then report back to us so that he wouldn't be addressing anything to the TSO or the council directly. Um, that's the way I understood the conversation, but I may have gotten that wrong.
That was my understanding as well, that his contract did not include um, repeated meetings or maybe any meetings with TSO. Um, but eventually the RFP would be presented for us to review. So maybe we just drop that last clause and just say he anticipates he will complete the work by April 1, 2026, period.
Period. I'm fine with that.
And whatever that completing the work means, we'll leave to Paul and to yeah.
Um, I'll just throw out an alternative approach to it and then see if we can, but I'm agreeable to either one. And that is, and and provide regular reports to the town manager who will convey information to the committee and the council.
That's fine.
So
I think that's what he agreed to do.
I think we need to. I'm in agreement that we need to do one of the two.
Your suggestion is fine by me, Andy. I don't have a problem with that. It's just we want to take TSO out. He's not going to be reporting back to TSO as far as I understand it, except indirectly through the council and through Paul.
So it'd be,
I mean, do you want to say the town manager will provide
yeah,
regular updates?
would that be it?
Yeah, I would just put the word the town manager.
Yeah, and spell updates correctly.
Yes.
Okay, I can.
Good.
Good.
So, was there anything else? Anything about streetlight policy? That was something that I had to go back into because that really, a lot of it happened in the prior council term and not this council term. We were just sitting around and never got the recommendation that was actually a council vote to ask for the recommendation. And I went back and looked at the minutes of the meeting it was referred to, and it was very much a motion that was of the council to ask that happen. So I tried to state it as fairly and clearly as possible. As I have previously said, in conversations with Councilor Haneke, I think that she is likely to make a new proposal, and I don't know that if she makes a new proposal, that it would seem to supplant the prior proposal at that point. So I tried to state it in a way that would be comfortable. I have not had an opportunity to talk with her about the proposed language. If she has concerns about it, she can, of course, bring that up at the council meeting. And I'll send this to her and to Councilor Devlin Gauthier, because they were the co-sponsors of the original proposal. So I don't know if anybody has anything to say on that section. So we're left with adding something regarding the issue in the council goals. I would guess that it would become an additional section, and it's hard to write it as in this fashion, but I think there would be a new section on call it something like council our review of committee appointment process.
Mm.
Would that be and then just make reference to the that the council has voted this and that it will be a responsibility of the next TSO.
I wonder if you just want to put the language, Andy, if you want to just put the language in as written, just so there's a record of it to whomever this carryover member will be part of the next TSO's initial working packet. It might not be a bad idea just to quote the exact language.
Well, that's what I would do.
Yeah, good. And rather, just I guess your question is how to title it or how to highlight it. Yeah.
Review of committee appointment process.
Yeah, you could say something like that because it's there as the it's not there on the second paragraph, basically. I mean, that bullet is there as part of the responsibility of the TSO.
Would you? So where we place it probably doesn't matter a whole lot.
I would just keep it as a separate issue. You can place it wherever you want. I don't think it matters.
So why don't I do this? I'm not going to write the whole thing now, but we will create a new section here called Review of Committee Appointment Process.
Mhm.
And it's principally going to be
I would include board, Andy, just to be precise. So review board and committee process. And it's the town managers or the town's board and committee. I mean, we're not reviewing obviously council committees. We are it's tasked with reviewing the managers board and committee appointments process. Yeah.
you want to say town manager or just leave it as is for title?
You could just put the word town before board, and then it matches the language.
Yeah.
Towns, boards and committees. Ah, that's fine.
Okay, so what I will do is because I'm not going to try and write it out in a meeting, it would but it's basically going to be that the council has adopted a goal as follows, state or an action item as follows, state the action item as exact quote, cut and paste from the document. And I don't think we need to say anything about it because it speaks for itself.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what I will do is, and I will send you a copy of this as I send it to Athena so that if there are comments about the language, I'll just take them as chair and make modifications as I do with other documents. Is there anything else that is
Andy, where does the committee charge revision go? Does that go in here? That would be the other item.
Committee charge revision is actually, I think, already stated.
Already stated? Okay. Okay, I missed that, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's only a question.
Yes, it is there. Thank you. Yeah.
And actually, where we have made a clear statement about the efficiency goal and not saying that where it says down here, routine review of that sentence is in here so that the thought about it will be before the TSO committee. We eliminated it from the revised committee charge. But it is in the carryover memo too. So is that paragraph comfortable as written?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So I guess what we should just do is agree that the committee charged with the amendment to add the section is supported by the committee or has been adopted by the committee. I think I would like to have a motion, as you noted at the beginning of the thing, I have listed your names. I've said that it's not from me as chair, it's from the committee. So it really needs to be a committee vote to adopt it.
So I'm prepared to move that TSO, whether we approve the transition and carryover of measures to new legislative session. We approve the carryover memo as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
So the motion was by Bob Hegner and Councilor Ryan, seconded.
It's the reverse, but that's all right.
Reversed. I take that back and reverse it. So noted. And is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, then guess we're at a point to proceed to a vote. And I think that Councilor Lord left the meeting.
Like she's no longer here.
Yes, so I will note that in the report. So let's take a vote. Bob Hegner,
Aye.
Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Jennifer Taub,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So it's 4-0 with one member absent. So I think that I'm going to just go back, make sure that there's no participants.
No, we have
There's no
audience.
there. So we're going to note that there was no public comment because there's no one requested public comment. And I think that takes care of it. I have eliminated the item that has been routinely here about planning for the next meeting because there will be no next meeting. And I want to thank the three of you and Councilor Lord for your work on the committee. It has been a challenge, but I think we met it and exceeded it and provided the council what it needed. So, and there's no unanticipated items that I have, unless somebody has other suggestions. See a couple hands up, Councilor Ryan.
I do have one anticipated item, which is, and I think Jennifer is going to be echoing me in this, but I'm just guessing, is that we owe you, Andy, a great debt of thanks. You have ably chaired this committee for the past 2 years. You've kept us on point. You've guided us, and you have produced extraordinarily clear and useful reports and documents without complaint. And so I think I speak for all the members of the committee. But certainly I can say for myself, I am deeply grateful to you and to the work you've done. And you're going to be sorely missed. But just in terms of this committee, we could not have done what we've done without your leadership. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Jennifer.
You're muted.
She's speechless.
Yeah, I don't know if I keep doing that today. Yeah, ditto Councilor Ryan. Yeah, thank you so much, Andy. And thank you, Councilor Ryan, for vice chair. You did, I mean, you've done a lot of work on many items, but the two of you
Andy made it very easy, but yes,
the
thank you.
TPC.
You're welcome. Yeah.
And
I
Andy,
have to say, Councilor Ryan, that you were really the leader that got us started on the TPC, and you organized the discussion on and sort of identified the key issues that we needed. And, you know, it was well before we invited our Northampton colleagues to join in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you had a big part in it. Bob?
no, but I also want to add, I'm sorry, Bob, and then I'll defer to you.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate that you always got us the reports to look at,
Yes.
you know, before they went to the council. That's not easy to do to have them prepared ahead of time so we could, and I really appreciated that. And I also, Andy and Bob, we're really going to miss you on the council. Andy hasn't, we will still have an Andy. I call it our Andy seat. But we're losing our Bob seat.
Yeah.
Bob?
I just wanted to echo the thoughts of George and Jennifer. Andy, you've been a great chair. George, you've been a great vice chair. And I think this committee has done a lot of good work. And I'm proud to have served on this committee. I think it's helped the town and it's helped the council. And it was not easy work. But I think we all put our nose to the grindstone and got the work done.
Well, yeah, I think we have done a lot of good work in this, and I have been disappointed by things we didn't get to, but it wasn't that we weren't willing to, we just didn't have time to. And I'm going to be interested to see, as a citizen observer, what the next TSO committee does and how it takes advantage of its ability to do a larger slice of the charge than has been done before. And I think it's the other piece is the whole question about the community outreach part of our charge, just outreach in general. I think it will be interesting to see how a TSO actually takes on that responsibility in a real way. We made one faint attempt and had a one meeting that we devoted part of our agenda to the item, never got back to it at all. And it was just what we had the capacity to do. Anything else that anyone wants to say? Otherwise, we could take a motion to adjourn.
I just want to say one thing that I don't know, just an observation, because I had never been, this was never a committee I really had a particular desire to be on and got appointed. And I think this is like the committee where the nuts and bolts, this is like the nuts and bolts of local government services. So,
that
anyway.
was the intention back in the day when we created it. And I think you're absolutely right. I hope that continues. We'll see. Yeah. It's where the
I've really
rubber
enjoyed
meets
it.
the road. Yeah.
Yes, and hopefully that the committee won't have to spend much time thinking anymore about Southeast Street or Featherstone.
Who knows? Yes. No, right. That's true. That should be the case. Anyway, it's been great, guys. Guess we need to adjourn.
Is that a motion?
I move that we adjourn for the final time for this 2-year term TSO.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded. Councilor Ryan.
Aye.
Bob Hegner.
Aye.
Jennifer Taub.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So we are adjourned at
10 minutes to spare.
Yes.
50 a.m. I have managed to keep us pretty much to the 2-hour commitment.
That's also, yes, we didn't mention that, but that's also true.
For 2 years.
Much appreciated.
So we've made it today too. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Farewell, all of you. Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
Yeah.
I'll see you,
Yeah.
I'll
We'll
see
see
you
you
Monday.
Monday. Yeah.
That's right.